Hello, everybody. This is my Anno, and it is Monday, April the 20th, 2020. Brilliant, 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 brilliant week and brilliant weekend that I had. And apologies for not putting a description on my last video. I'm amazed at how many people got triggered by that video. It is just like, are you serious? That's like old news to me. But anyway, people got triggered. Welcome. Today we are talking about a different topic. Today we are talking about something which is very close to my heart because it deals with happiness, and that is how to find Mr. Right for you. Not just Mr. Right. There is no generic Mr. Right, although for some reason society seems to think that there is. So today we are going to delve into things a little bit differently. I've been also taking advice from people, and even though I'm very passionate about these topics and I could talk for hours, I literally stopped because I have to do mummy stuff. So I could talk for hours about most of the things that I've already done, and I probably will before I'm done. But I'm going to break down each section into shorter videos because I was told that, it might be a bit too much for someone to have to commit 40, 50 odd minutes to just listening to me, which I understand. I'm at peace with it. So today we're going to talk about finding how to find your Mr. Right. And I'm going to break that down into two different sections. So today we're going to do a self-exploration. And then tomorrow we're going to take our new self-explored and super powerful self and take it out there into the real world so we actually find our Mr. Right using modern social media, digital technology, or even in face-to-face conversations with people. Right? So today is about self-exploration, and today is very, very important because if you don't understand who you are, if you don't have that self-awareness of who you are and what you're looking for, you're constantly going to find yourself being twisted and turned by all of these different people. Right, but before we get into that, can you please give a big thumbs up to my video if you like it? Can you please subscribe to my channel? And can you share this video with all your friends, everyone you know who might find this interesting? The same principle could probably also be used for guys, but I can only really speak for a feminine point of view and for anyone who's willing to do that inward journey with today's topic. Now, Mr. Right, we all have this concept that I'm going to find my soulmate, I'm going to grow up, do all the right things and be a good person, and I'm going to find my soulmate. And a lot of us end up in relationships that, for lack of a better term, are toxic. And then we come out of one toxic relationship and we go into another toxic relationship. And then we come out of that feeling really wounded and we walk straight back into another toxic relationship. And we start to find that there's a pattern that's building within us, despite all the things we're trying to do to the contrary. Now, today, we're going to do a little bit of work on you. You are the most important person in this equation. If you want happiness, you're going to have to work for it. It's not a hard exercise, but it is an exercise all the same. And it might take you a day to do it, might take you a week, it might take you months, it might take you years. For me, it took me years. God, it took me over a decade until I figured out what I was looking for in a guy. I made all the dilemma as individuals. And I had it as well, because, I grew up and I didn't have any kind of reference point. I mean, I grew up in a society where most people were like married before they were 21 and people were settling down. And I remember saying to myself, actually, I might date until I'm 25 and then settle down, because then that meant that I would come out of school, come out of university and still be single. And to me, that seemed like, wow, a huge challenge. I got to 25 and I was like, I still don't know myself. I made all these mistakes. I'm going to wait until I'm 30. And 30 seemed like it was a long way away. And then I got to 30. I was like, Lord, Lord, I'm still having fun. I'm not ready to settle down. But anyway, I kept doing the work. I kept making the mistakes. And a big, really important thing that happened for me anyway after 30 is I stopped trying to please other people so much. I had hurt myself so much trying to do what I felt was right by other people that I just got to a point where I was like, you know what, enough. Before I met my husband, I was like, you know what? If I don't meet anybody by the time I'm 40, that's it. I'm not even going to try find a husband, boyfriend, whatever, have kids, whatever. I'm not. Because I had a definite thing in my mind that I was going to get married and I was going to have kids, 2 kids. Look where I am now. Very late on in life. So now what we have to do as people if you're on the other side of the equation, or you're in a toxic relationship, or you're in a series of toxic relationships and you can't seem to break the cycle, is you need to start doing some work on you. Because yes, there is something wrong with the kind of person you are attracted to. And I mentioned this in another conversation, another video, I can't remember which one it is now, but I mentioned this in another video, which is about relationships. I'll see if I can find it, then link to it. And I was saying that my intrinsic primal attraction is for super ultra macho, in your face, charging kind of guy. I'm the man, I'm the man. I've tried those relationships. Those relationships have ended up awfully. Like I said in that video as well, I had a guy that on our first date, we were arguing. We were arguing on the first date when you're supposed to be your best foot forward. We were arguing. We argued as long as we knew each other until I ended up just saying, you know what, I'm not actually going to try and have a relationship with you, because obviously either something is wrong with me or something is wrong with you. But either way, our personalities are clashing. I mean, we look good together. He was like a muscle god, literally. He was absolutely striking. When we walked into place, people were just like, oh my God, power couple. But he wasn't for me. And it took me a long time to come away from that and to actually accept what in my mind was, oh my God, these are boring relationships. Oh, this guy is just not exciting. I'm not feeling like anxious about will he call me, won't he call me. When he says he's going to turn up for something, he does turn up. Oh my God, this guy's so lame and so responsible and so reliable. Ugh. If that sounds like you, that was me too. I actually did have that problem. I actually have the problem that I needed a relationship to be exciting. I didn't know who my Mr. Right was. I just knew I was rebelling from what I had been told was Mr. Right. You all have to go through those cycles psychologically. Please don't go through it physically, because that stuff is just draining. It drained me and I nearly gave up on love. Now, let's think about what we think about when we say this is Mr. Right. I mean, we got the generic Mr. Right. You know, like when Brad Pitt was at his peak, you know, that kind of like, I'm a man and I'm in charge and I know exactly what I want and I'm very worldly and traveled. Sorry, that's not me being sarcastic. That's actually me sneezing. We were burning stuff yesterday. We were doing gardening, so we're burning stuff. So my nostrils got it. So we have the generic good hair, good looks, you know, very successful on the surface, very charming, very worldly, knows how to say all the right things at the right times, very sensitive and emotional and in touch with his feelings. The Hollywood Mr. Right. Okay? Then we've got the Mr. Right that your folks tell you need to be around. You want a man who's, well, you know, I'm going to give rhetoric from probably we can understand this, most Africans. He has to be God-fearing. He has to be respectful to your family. He has to be a provider. He has to be a nurturer. Yeah, that man should always be knocking on your folks' door and saying, I want to bring you this. Hey, mommy, when I today? Oh, mommy, I brought you this so you can, you know, go on holiday or go cook something, whatever. You have that kind of guy that your parents say, this is the guy you need to settle down with. You might find him boring. He might actually be Mr. Right for you. But because we all go through that phase where we're fighting against what our parents are telling us, you might be fighting that kind of guy too, right? And then we've got the kind of Mr. Right that your friends tell you ought to have. You know, the kind who's like, you know, when your friends call you and say, girl, we're going out tonight. Your man's like, yeah, girl, you go with your friends. Go and have ladies night. It's all good. When he comes and he hangs out with your friends, he's fun. You know, he's relevant. He's talking about what everyone's into. You know, he's supportive. Basically, he's just like a best buddy to the females. So you have the Mr. Right that your friends are telling you. You have the Mr. Right that your parents are telling you. You have the generic, what society is pushing to you of what a Mr. Right should be. But what do you actually want? Who's Mr. Right to you? Is he specifically any of those three kinds of guys that your three spheres of influence are telling you? Or is he completely different? Now, that's what you need to work on. And you need to do it as honestly as you possibly can. And it's a painful journey because you have to kind of strip away this psychology. We have a psychology in society at the moment that a guy has to fulfill all these things on all these different spectrums. He should always be sensitive and empathetic and always, in some women's cases, always leave the toilet seat down and, you know, never leave his socks hanging around wherever, blah, blah, blah. So basically, this guy just comes short of being like a human unicorn. But what are you attracted to? And when we're talking about attraction here, We're talking not just because with me, my primal attraction still does remain this alpha aggressive horrid for me, because I've tried having relationships with those guys, and I realized that, the more and more I went for those guys, the more angry I was as a person because I was constantly fighting my corner. Relationships actually have to be easy. The relationship has to be easy because there's a lot of really difficult things that the two of you have to face together. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out and find a guy who's exactly like you, because that would actually just be boring. You want to find somebody who complements you. Can I just use my relationship as a reference? So, with my husband and myself, people would say on the surface, we're completely different. My husband is very quiet. He values his quiet time, his downtime. I'm loud. I used to be quiet once upon a time, and I think maybe that's the part of him that pulls me to him. Because apparently, up until about the age of 8, I was selectively mute. I didn't have anything. In my mind, I was like, well, I don't have anything to say, so there's no point in saying anything. I used to love watching people. My husband still got that part to him. And I find it just fascinating that we can have conversations. We literally have conversations sometimes where we're about to crack a joke and we crack exactly the same joke. I'm like, what? I'm like, there's no point even telling you stuff because you know exactly what I'm going to say. It's like, what is wrong with you? So my husband is very quiet still. That's his personality. I'm loud. But we meet in the sense that we like to talk and discuss and dissect things, like to the point of stupid. So it's just, to some people, the way that we talk would probably just be like, oh my God, pill. Like seriously, facepalm moment. My husband is also very excited about numbers, and he's very analytical in that sort of sense. So he likes to think mathematically, and he'll sit down and really think deep and hard about something, and it might take him a while to come up with an answer. Whereas I'm just like bam, 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 bam. And it doesn't mean that I'm not thinking. It just means that I'm firing off all these different ideas at the same time. My husband will not say anything until he has thought about it. And sometimes he'll come back to me after days, when I've asked him something. And in the beginning, I used to think, man, really is not listening to me. And if I was like feisty, like my old self, we would have been fighting from day one. But I realized those characters in him because we had an entry interview before we got into this relationship. So I allowed myself to let him develop into himself, and I didn't try to push that. I can ask my husband a question sometimes, and he can sit there and you would think he hasn't heard you, and he's looking at you or he's looking away, and you're sitting there and you're counting. I said to myself, in the long run, I've got to just learn to count to 20 in my head. Because in my head, it just feels like I've been waiting a whole minute. Just give me an answer. So I have to wait. So I could ask him something like, well, what do you think we should be doing about summer? And he'll just sit there. And in my head, I'm like, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4 potato. God, but now I can answer. And when he comes back with an answer, it's something that I wouldn't even have thought of. So my husband compliments me. So I could think, generic, oh yeah, we should go on holiday, we should do this, we should do that. But he might come up with, well, how about we come up with a DIY project? If I go and I get some stuff over at the shops and then we can build this thing together and then it'll be like really nice. And then maybe you can invite some friends and stuff on and you're like, oh, well, I never actually thought of that, but that's actually a really good idea. Wow, thank you. So he's very mathematical. I'm very creative. I can sit here, which is where, I actually, this is sad. This is sad, but it's so true. I did maths at A level. I hated every single second of it. I can think mathematically, but I have no passion for it. I have no love for it. My husband can sit there with numbers. I remember when we're on holiday with my sister, and my sister will remember this too, where he found a book, as you do. It was like an Airbnb or something. Was it Airbnb or something? I can't remember what we hired. But it was Owners Direct, I think. We hired a villa, and we were all staying in the villa. And he found a book, which to him was very fantastic, and it was a maths book. I don't even know what it was, because I'm just like, numbers, forget about it, not bothered. He found this book, and he was reading it, and he was very fascinated. And it's like he'd wake up every single morning and go and pick this book up, and, oh yeah, equations and all the, infinity signs and squiggly-doo and blah, blah, blah. And it was challenging his mind, and it was opening up his way of thinking. My sister picked this book up because she was like, oh, your husband's always reading this book. Let me have a look. She opened it. She just looked dazed. It looked like somebody had sucker punched her. But, he's mathematical. I'm creative. I come from a creative family. We're very flowery. We're very loud. We're very musical. We're very entertaining. We love that side of ourselves. My husband is the polar opposite. If I hadn't done the work on myself that I did, I would have probably, at first glance, just thought, oh my God, nerd. Ugh, boring. God, ugh. But now that I have done that work and I realized the things in me, so the whole yin yang concept, there's a part of you that pulls to another part. So when you're together and you're working well together, and this is not automatic, it takes work. When you're working well together, you find that this person complements you perfectly. You fit like a glove. My husband understands my crazy. I know I'm crazy sometimes and I'm in people's faces. The only person, actually there's two people, but don't tell her that. The only two people who can check me are my mother and my husband. Nobody else can check me. If my husband says to me, maybe you should rein it back, I will respect him. Anybody else says that, I will come up with a reason not to. I'm like, you know what, forget it. I'm living my life. Go live your life. If you're offended, click away, or go and do something else with your life. If we're family, you know what, we'll just stop into the same part. This is how I am. And it's not that I'm trying to be like awful or whatever, but I just decided I've only got one life to live and I can't live it for everyone. I can't please everyone. If I please you today, tomorrow I'm upsetting somebody else. Today you might be having a disagreement with somebody and then you're like, oh, we should all be angry with this person because you were angry with them. And then tomorrow you're best friends again. Then you're like, oh, we should all love this person. Look, they have repented. And that's not the way that I work. I'm just like, basically, I give people such a long yard to do stuff with. No matter how much people hurt me, there's some people in life that I keep allowing to hurt me because I've decided, well, your family, you're important, or, whatever connection I have with you is more important than our, emotional differences. So you've got to find a person who understands you, even if that person on paper or even to the people around you doesn't seem to make any sense. But the only way you're going to do it is if you do this. So this is your homework for today, making this new you out there when you can get out there again, by the way. But by the way, apparently all these dating apps, I don't know, someone was telling me that all these dating apps have like all these free memberships right now just to get people talking until we get back out there into the real world. So take this knowledge into the dating sites. The dating sites are not the problem. You are the problem until you figure yourself out. So this is your homework today, and I want you to write this down. I want you to think, what is a perfect relationship to me? That's your first question. What is a perfect relationship to me? If you woke up tomorrow morning and you were with your Mr. Right, what is this guy like? If it's a physical thing for you, what is he like physically? But also, what kinds of things does he do? Does he wake up in the morning and kiss you good morning? Does he make you breakfast in bed? Do you have conversations about what he's going to do with his day? Do you have emotional conversations? Do you have children? This is the perfect case scenario. So, say this is like 5 years from now, you met your Mr. Perfect and you're 5 years into a relationship. Do you have kids together? These kids rushing to say good morning, mommy and daddy. Are you living in a house? Are you living in a flat? Are you living in the countryside? Are you living in a mansion? It's a perfect case situation. And please don't be like going and jacking off people's husbands. Don't go try and steal Brad Pitt. He's been stolen enough times. Plus, for me, it'll be Vin Diesel anyway, so you can have Brad Pitt. So what are you living in? What is your day-to-day situation like? Is he working? Are you working? Are you the stay-at-home parent? Are you both going out to work? What are the kinds of things that you're saying to each other at the breakfast table? Is your life busy or is your life laid back? When you go out, do you go out together as a couple? Do you have couples friends? Do you have a quiet life? Remember, there is no right or wrong. You don't have to live TV. You're living your life. So to give you an example, my husband and I, we love staying at home. We go out, not so much now with kids. We used to go out, but we would go out not to like parties and raves and things. We would go out for meals, just him and me, meals. And couples friends would be couples friends, but we wouldn't be like so invested in having couples friends. So, in your perfect world, what are the things that you're doing as a couple? What are the things that you are sharing as a couple? What are the communications you're having as a couple? And when you're doing this exercise, I then also want you to write down, after you've thought about what your perfect relationship in 5 years, your perfect relationship woke up and it magically had happened. What would this relationship look like? After you've done that, your next one is going to be write down or think about your views on love and expressions of love. Is it important to you that the guy says, I love you, or you just need to see through his actions that he's serious about you? Write down your views on children, having children, adopting children, dating somebody who's already got their own children, because these are real issues, and, even if you both don't want children, there's still going to be children involved because you're going to have relatives who've got children. What are your views on children in general? Also think about, what are your views on religion? People say that this doesn't matter, that if you have a relationship that works, you can be of different religions. And yes, people do make those things work, but no one's trying to say, well, oh, wow, because I'm Pentecostal, you shall come with me to Pentecostal. And the other person's like, no, but Roman Catholic is the way to go. No one's saying that. They're actually accepting that you have different religions. I found you in this religion, so I'm allowing you to carry on in this religion. What are your views on money? Now, this is a so underrated one. So many people are always crying to me. Oh my God, I'm going to go on about this. So many people are always crying to me, and I'll do this in another topic about money and money issues and what people value in terms of what they spend their money on. Are they able to save their money? What are they doing to focus their money towards the future? Because if you're in a marriage, that money issue will come back to bite you. You have to have a person who has the same views on money that you do. If you're both frivolous, be frivolous together. If you both love to go out and shop, go shop together, because that's your policy. But if you have someone who's constantly trying to save and the other person is constantly dipping into your pot, that's going to raise animosity and just awful feelings within your relationship. So you do need to work on what are your feelings about money and how you address money. How do you manage money? What are the things you need to work on when it comes to money? You might be very good with money, but you might want someone who's better, who makes you better with money, or who makes you more creative with how you're spending your money. And what are your views as well on family, extended family? Whether you like it or not, when you get married, you're going to get married to your husband's family. You can't say to yourself, your husband has a relationship with his family, and you're like, I don't care about them. They can't do anything to me. I don't like them. And you're constantly causing drama and friction because you're putting yourself in a position where eventually he's going to have to choose. And you only play the emotional blame game for so long. But at some point, the family is going to win. The family will always win because they knew him before he was anything. You came into his life, and yes, you might have the shroud over him and, be able to entice him with your feminine wiles, but eventually everybody wakes up, boo-boo. So you have to think, well, what are your views on family? Do you want a person who is connected to the family? Do you want a person who's distant from family? What are your feelings on family? Are you close to your own family? You can even have a big extended family that you love, because I have a huge extended family. My husband's from a smaller type family, like very quite British, but his family are amazing. His family love the concept of big family. His family and my family are like that. We have become enmeshed. That is when you know you're doing the right things, because you're trying to create situations where people are coming together in harmony. We all want to be happy. Every time she sees you, you're cussing each other out silently. She's telling you how awful you are. You're busy, oh my God, that old bat, we have to go. You're making your life uncomfortable, boo-boo. If you can have conversations with your husband about how you can make those relationships work, then you will find you can actually have good extended family relationships. So I want you to think about all your views on all these things and write about them. Also, maybe your views on the world. I mean, that's a very sort of difficult one because, even the best relationships still have issues when it comes to all these changing topics. But you have to have a clear path of communication when it comes to world issues, because they do affect your relationship as well. So you've got to ask yourself all of these different questions, so that if anyone was to come and ask you, it's kind of like you're self-employed. And for me, this visualization was brilliant, because when you're self-employed, you have to have that elevator pitch. When someone comes and asks you, what do? You have to be able to tell them like that in 20 seconds what you do. So this is what you have to start doing. You have to start rehearsing and cycling around in your mind this concept of, if Mr. Right just popped in front of you the day you were allowed to walk out your house after quarantine, by the way, baby, yeah, the day you're allowed to walk out the house, and you're walking down the street and whoa, Mr. Perfect is there. And he says, you look like my kind of girl. And you're like, well, I'm the kind of girl who likes this, 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 and I'm looking for a man who likes da, 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 da. Are you my Mr. Right? So you've got to have this hardwired into your head. It's not an aggressive punch, 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 punch. When you find yourself having to fight your corner so someone can hear who you are, that's not you being an independent woman. That's just you cruising for a bruising. Because if that person says, well, oh, you're too feisty, you know in his mind, he's thinking, I'm going to knock you down. I'm going to kill your spirit until you're exactly what I want you to be. So don't fall for those kind of conversations. You can be yourself. You can be certain about yourself, but you can be calm about it. You can be at peace with it. That if a person comes to you and he goes, yeah, babe, you know what? I'm like 60% of what you're looking for, right? But all of this thing where you're talking about you're going to go to work, no woman of mine is ever going to work, Sorry, I don't even know why I'm doing like a slightly Cockney British accent. No woman of mine is ever going to work. And then you're like, oh, well, actually, he's kind of good for me, but at the same time, I'm not quite sure about this whole thing. And now he's saying that he wants me to move in with him. We've been dating for a short while. He doesn't really want me going to see my friends. But, he's really quite nice. When you're having to justify yourself and answer all your questions like that, then you're going for a dangerous situation. You just have to be able to say when you see a guy like that, oh, you know what? You are so nice. And it's like really great. We've had a really good run, but no, I think those are really important things to me. And I really care about my friends and I care about my family. So, if you can't accept that I have friends and family and you never want me to see them again and you never want me to work again, yeah, you can support us, but, no, it's not going to work for me. You have to be able to say no. You're not some damsel in distress. You're not like, that movie, The Runaway Bride. You're not the runaway bride. You're not that chick who's sitting there waiting, being perfect for every man, but in reality, wanting something completely different. You have to actually be able to say no, 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 no to loads of guys until you find the one where you're just like, and when you see them, oh my God, it's like, we will do this tomorrow when it comes to taking your brand new self onto social media, because I used this tactic big time. And then I met my husband. So when I saw my husband, because of course we've been communicating, saw him, as soon as he popped up on my screen, I was just like, and of course, him being him, he had been desperately dying, waiting to come and talk to me, and he had recorded the conversation. So there is now, in QuickTime Player for eternity, a video of the first time that he saw me too. And I can tell, and now he can tell because he understands me. But, before, he didn't actually realize that I actually was startled, because I was like, and I just looked at him, and it's like right at that moment, like no word of a lie, and I know this is so cheesy, but right at that moment, I was like, that's the man I'm going to marry. It was just like that. But it took a lot of hard work to get to that point. It took a lot of hard work, trust me. Anyway, so that's your homework for today. I want you to write down what you think a perfect relationship would look like in 5 years. You wake up in your perfect relationship. What does it look like? All the variables. I want you to write down your views on the world, love, children, religion, money, family. And then tomorrow, we're going to take your brand new self and we're going to take that baby rolling. We're going to work it all over social media, boo-boo. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy this. I tried to make it short. I don't know. I can't help myself. I can talk about this stuff for a long time. Right. Likes and comments in the section below. Ask me whatever questions you want. Thank you for all the questions and the constructive criticism you guys have been sending me lately. I really appreciate it. And I will see you again tomorrow. Have a brilliant Monday. Take care, you guys. Mwah.